A coronavirus vaccine ships out to states nationwide. We'll tell you when the first of the vaccines will go out. Plus the latest after an apartment fire in Pittsburgh injures 2 people. And police arrest a suspect connected to a string of armed robberies.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the Cleveland Indians will be getting a new team. We'll have details. And a COVID-19 vaccine has finally arrived. For something to talk about, we're asking if you plan on getting it as soon as it becomes available to you. You can also participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
'Tis a cold Monday morning. From the Freeman Health System sky camera, Joplin sits at 25 degrees right now. Pittsburgh 22, Independence 21, Miami at 28. Everybody below the freezing point as the cold front is now just straight on us. From the Skywatch storm tracker, a little light cloud cover there up in the northern portion of the 4 states. Give you an idea of that color contour. The cold fronts worked all the way through central Arkansas right there. So we are just in store for an extremely chilly day coming off of those record-setting highs that we had last week. What a change. High 30s, low 40s. That's about as good as we're going to see today. And while we stay on the dry side on Monday, Tuesday, we're going to get a little additional snowfall. It's going to be pretty light and scattered out to the west as another system moves up through Oklahoma and Kansas right there. So certainly not widespread snow. And any of the snow that we said was going to fall over the weekend. Here's the thing, Tanya. You knew that it would hit that ground and melt. And then we turned in a Monday morning. Watch for slick spots on overpasses and bridges, folks.
Definitely.
Because it's gotten so cold this morning. I bottomed out at 18. That's the lowest that I saw this morning. Not wind chill, actual temperature. So please know that residual moisture that we had over the weekend that did fall, it can refreeze. We're not looking at any hazardous travel conditions. Just want everybody to be careful. Remind yourselves that will freeze back over.
And it's definitely frosty out there.
A little bit. A little bit.
Just a little. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Michael.
Did I mention that I got fleece lined now?
You told me, but not on the air.
That's right. Fleece lined. Moving up in the world, folks.
Stepping up his long underwear there, yes.
I didn't say what it was. I just said fleece lined.
Everyone knows. 2 or 3
Touche.
pairs. Now he doesn't need 2 or 3 pairs because it's fleece lined. Will one do, or do you still double up?
Still double up.
Still double up. All right. That makes sense.
Still double up.
All right. Thanks, Michael. We'll see some of the first U.S. vaccinations against the coronavirus today. Yesterday, Pfizer shipped more than 180,000 vials of the vaccine it made with BioNTech across the country, and even more going out today. It comes as the nation is about to surpass 300,000 dead from COVID-19. Deborah Alfarone is in Washington with the latest.
The first boxes containing the coronavirus vaccine rolled out of Pfizer's Michigan plant yesterday. This UPS plane took the first batch to Louisville, Kentucky, where Hannah Elby helped unload the shipment.
It feels like I can finally do something about these problems instead of just staying at home. It feels great.
Healthcare workers are expected to start receiving vaccinations today.
It's our moonshot.
Dr. Gabriel Boslett will get his on Wednesday.
I mean, it's our generation's man on the moon. And I think to think of it any other way is to do it a disservice.
Pfizer is planning to ship 2.9 million doses this week.
The primary emotion that I feel is hope, which is something that we haven't felt in many, many months.
That hope comes amid the pandemic's darkest days, with record hospitalizations and more than 2,000 deaths per day.
You are seeing some hopeful signs around the nation in terms of a slowing of new cases in the Midwest and the West in particular. But you're seeing an acceleration in cases in the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yesterday, California reported more than 30,000 new cases, more than triple the amount from 1 month ago.
It's really been ramping up over the past couple weeks and much more quickly now over the past several days.
Starting today in New York City, indoor dining is banned for the next 2 weeks as the city tries to slow the spread. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News.
The first shipments of the vaccine also arrived in Canada yesterday. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called it an important step in our fight against the virus. Well, a fire at an apartment complex in Pittsburgh led to one person jumping from a window. Around 4 a.m. yesterday morning, Pittsburgh Fire and Police Departments responded to a 4-unit apartment complex at 1602 South Walnut Street in Pittsburgh. Heavy flames left victims trapped inside, but all residents were able to escape. Authorities say the person who jumped through the window sustained injuries but received medical treatment and has been released. Another resident is being treated in Springfield for burns. The apartment complex sustained heavy fire damage to one unit and smoke and water damage to the other 3. The Kansas State Fire Marshal's office is currently investigating the cause of the fire. Pittsburgh police arrest a suspect in connection to a string of armed robberies. Pittsburgh Police Department says on Friday night, officers were dispatched to Pete's at 1711 North Broadway in Pittsburgh, where an armed robbery had just taken place. The suspect reportedly threatened the convenience store clerk with a knife before fleeing the area on a bicycle with an undisclosed amount of cash. Detectives quickly developed a suspect and made an arrest shortly after midnight on Saturday. Items located in search of the suspect's home in Pittsburgh connected to him to an armed robbery committed at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas on November 21st, as well as an armed robbery at the snack attack on December 4th. Evidence seized during the search could also be connected to other armed robberies in neighboring cities. The suspect was booked on 3 counts of aggravated robbery related to all 3 incidents. He is currently being held without bond at the Crawford County Jail. In Joplin, police say they're still looking for the suspect in an armed robbery at the Casey's gas station on North Range Line Road. Joplin Police Department got the call just before 9 p.m. Friday night. While the suspect did not brandish a weapon openly, Casey staff say he pointed to his pocket and alluded to having a gun. The suspect then fled on foot. Police searched the area using canines and drones, but were unable to locate the suspect. The man was disguised in a mask and hooded jacket. Anyone with information regarding the investigation should contact JPD. After 2 trailers were stolen from the lot of Higher Power Garage in Joplin, a fundraiser is in place in hopes of raising enough money to replace at least one of them. On November 18th, the back fence of Higher Power Garage's lot was torn down. The locks cut off the trailers and security camera tampered with. 2 trailers, one that was custom detailed by Mike Gideon, the owner, were stolen. But a Facebook fundraiser and volunteer going door to door are working to raise $2,250 to replace one of them. So far, they're only $600 short of their goal. Police are involved in the theft, but the faith-based nonprofit auto repair shop is not pushing too hard for the trailers to be found.
We try not to push too hard because we know that there's a reason that they're gone. You know, even if that reason is, you know, to see the community to come together, you know, for Mike, you know, at this time. And so we believe that God has a reason for it.
There's a link to the Facebook fundraiser on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. It's 5:07.
Wind chills as low as 17 chiming in Iola, Nevada, and Stockton. Everybody temperature-wise below the freezing mark. Goal number 1 this morning, just keep them warm on the way to school. Sunrise here at 7:24. We'll get a good dose of it early. It's just going to be a chilly one throughout today, as we'll only top out around 40 degrees, a little north breeze. Nothing severe, though. Next chance for a little precip. How about we roll that Tuesday? A little light snow going to work in from the west right there. Nothing widespread, but once again, same thing as what I'm talking about today. Watch out for bridges and overpasses.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Kansas City Chiefs set their sights on clinching the AFC West title in a game against the Miami Dolphins. We'll have those highlights, plus everything you need to know about the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine and how man's best friend is helping healthcare workers on the front lines. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Kansas City Chiefs clinched a playoff spot after beating Denver last week, and yesterday had a chance to clinch a 5th straight AFC West title. Got to take on Miami on the road. Chiefs on a 7-game winning streak, 11-1 overall. That dude right there, if he throws for 315 yards, he's going to tie an NFL record of 6 consecutive times doing it. Tie him with Drew Brees. That's how you do it. 44-yard touchdown strike to Tyreek Hill. Kansas City up double digits. Miami punts on the ensuing drive. Nicole Hardman. Clear. 67 yards. Chiefs up by 18. Everybody can take a Sunday afternoon nap, right? Now still in the third. Don't miss the defense do some work. Chris Jones face down Tua Tagovailoa in the end zone. That's a safety. KC up 30-10. Fourth quarter. Mahomes looking for Hill. Check out Xavier Howard's incredible one-handed interception. And Mahomes threw for 3 interceptions. But guess what? He also threw for that 315 yards. So going into next week, if he can eclipse 315, he will break the record that he now shares with one Drew Brees. So once again, he's done it 6 consecutive games. Chiefs win it 33-27, 5th consecutive AFC West title. 2 weeks ago, Sarah Fuller became the first woman to play in a Power 5 college football game. And Saturday, she made history again. The first woman to score points in a Power 5 contest. She kicked 2 extra points in the Commodores' loss to rival Tennessee. Sarah Fuller was goalkeeper for Vanderbilt's soccer team. Yeah, it's kind of good. That soccer team won the SEC tournament title last month. She says that the last few weeks being on the football team feels nothing but normal, and she was ready for her opportunity when it arrived.
Sum it up, I say it's been a little chaotic, but I'm very thankful for every opportunity. And again, the whole, Vanderbilt football staff has been incredible, and it's been an awesome journey. I was just super excited when we got that touchdown. I was just ready to go out and roll, and the guys were super pumped up and encouraging. So I was very excited to get out there and finally do what I've been training for the past few weeks.
Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State both at home this week for their final 2 games before winter break that starts on Thursday. So Thursday night, Southern's going to host Northwest Missouri. Now the Lion women have won their last 3 in a row. They've got a chance to get over 500 here with a win against the Bearcats. And on the men's side, that is a #1 ranked nationally Northwest Missouri team. Bearcats still hoping to play this game with the Lions announcing positive COVID cases last Monday. Pittsburgh State's going to square off with Mo Western on Thursday. Gorilla women, they're coming off back-to-back wins for the first time this season, coming in at 3-3. Pitt State men are also 3-3. Gorillas look to hand the Griffins their first loss of the year as they're a perfect 4-0. We'll tip the women's game at 5:30. Men's contest follows, say, around 7:30. Cleveland Indians are changing their name. Latest pro sports team to drop a moniker that many see as racist toward Native Americans. Baseball franchise had already phased out its former mascot, Chief Wahoo, indicated right there on that jersey. Now, no new name has been announced. Of course, earlier this year, the NFL team, now known as the Washington football team, dropped its previous nickname of Redskins. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the United Kingdom enters its 2nd week following the approval of the Pfizer vaccine. We'll have the latest on the rollout and a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just a little past 5:17 on this Monday morning. Live look from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera. Your eyes aren't having trouble adjusting. I've got Jesse on his way down there with the space heater. Quite frankly, our lens is frozen. That's how cold it is right now. I'm serious. It's actually got a film of ice on it. 25 in Joplin, 21 in Independence, and 22 in Fort Scott. Those are actual temperatures. Those are not wind chills now. Skywatch Storm Tracker, yeah, we got a little cloud cover. We're going to be dry today, though. Don't have to worry about precipitation showing up really until we get into Tuesday night. So the main thing is just keeping them warm on the way to school today, as we'll get sunshine early with a little north breeze at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Speaking of those wind chills, we've seen as low as 17 in Iola, though Nevada and Stockton in at 17 as well. So nobody even close to the freezing point, whether it be temperature or the wind chill. And the color contour shows you that cold front, that's done a pretty good job working all the way right there through central Arkansas. We got a mess out in the mid-Atlantic up toward the northeast. Now, like I said, we got high pressure hanging over us, so we're going to be dry for today, but only make it up into the low 40s. So let's go ahead and fast forward into Tuesday, because that's when we'll see everything originate from out to the west. And we're not looking at a whole lot of snow, but yeah, we're going to see some snowflakes here Tuesday night. It's going to be Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. We're not looking at any accumulation numbers that are going to impact travel, but need everybody to be on your toes and aware of that. And then we'll be dry all the way after that until Friday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Pfizer BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine. Green light from the FDA and the CDC. So you've got millions of doses making their way to people all over the country. What do we know about the vaccine and what do we not know? Britt Conway rounds us up with a few frequently asked questions from the experts.
The vaccine is rolling out and millions will be rolling up their sleeves. Still have some questions? Well, that's where these two come in. Dr. Leanna Wynn, ER physician and former Baltimore Health Commissioner, and Dr. Carlos Del Rio, Executive Associate Dean at Emory University School of Medicine. So what exactly does this vaccine do?
It reduces severe illness and symptomatic illness. It has not yet been shown to reduce transmission and spread of coronavirus.
Are there side effects?
Side effects are normal, they are expected, and they actually show that the vaccine is working.
Okay, what are they?
There are two general types of side effects. One is pain, swelling, redness at the injection site itself. And then the other is kind of flu-like symptoms, body aches, fevers, headache, fatigue.
What about people the vaccine hasn't been tested on? Kids, anyone pregnant or breastfeeding, people who have problems with their immune system, and people with certain allergies.
By the time individuals like that are ready to be vaccinated, we'll probably have at least some preliminary data.
If multiple vaccines become available, which one should I take?
I would take whatever comes first.
Finally, when could things get back to some kind of normal?
Definitely not this winter. Probably it will be until late spring, early summer. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but we still have to get through this tunnel.
I'm Britt Conway, reporting.
Our question on Facebook and our Insta poll, are you getting the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as it's available to you? Let us know. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, last week the U.S. hit a record number of hospitalizations during the pandemic. As the number of COVID-19 cases keeps climbing, so does the toll it's taking on frontline healthcare workers. Mandy Gaither tells us how some four-legged friends are helping.
It's a task that takes a big toll.
This is a tough time to be a healthcare provider.
For months across the U.S., those at the front of this pandemic have worked tirelessly to take care of those who are the sickest, many times to the detriment of their mental, physical, and emotional health.
Really trying to help bring a little light into their world.
That's why Mary Justice co-founded Buckeye Paws, a program launched at the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center in March that brings certified therapy dogs to some of those who need comfort the most.
The staff will start to smile and you'll hear them whisper, "The dogs are here." And they will laugh and they will clap their hands and they literally come kind of almost running down the hall when they see the dogs. You feel the mood shift when you get onto the unit.
Justice says there are more than 20,000 employees at the medical center. Visits from these furry friends can be requested. They go around 5 days a week.
For as much as they're doing, they're thanking us for coming up there to help them, which I find amazing.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Right now, there are 4 dogs on the team, and they're hoping to expand the program. Researchers looked at pregnant women at a New York hospital this spring and found that while a third tested positive for COVID-19 when arriving for delivery, 72% were asymptomatic. Health experts believe these findings are evidence of widespread virus spread when most testing was limited to people with symptoms. Our genes could be the key to treating the coronavirus. British researchers compared the DNA of ICU COVID patients to healthy volunteers and found major differences in 5 specific genes. Those genes, they believe, can explain why some people become much sicker than others when infected. Using the new data, the team was able to predict which patients would better respond to certain COVID treatments. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
It's cold is what it is. We've got temperatures in the 20s, wind chills down into the teens, as low as 11 right now in Independence. My goodness. High's only going to be in the 40s today, but we stay on the dry side. Chance for some light snow on Tuesday. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
A coronavirus vaccine ships out to states nationwide. We'll tell you when the first of the vaccines will go out. Plus the latest after an apartment fire in Pittsburgh injures 2 people and police arrest a suspect connected to a string of armed robberies.
The 4 states most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, our morning talker today is about the coronavirus vaccine. Let us know if you plan on getting vaccinated when it becomes available. We also invite you to participate in our Insta poll. Just visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on our forecast.
Cold one. Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin right now, where temperatures are only 25 degrees. Everybody considerably below the freezing mark with wind chills as low as the teens. Last time we looked, it was 11 degrees is what it felt like in Independence. So know that any of that residual precip from over the weekend, it can freeze over on those elevated surfaces. There's the Skywatch storm tracker. We're going to be dry on this Monday. Cold front, though, has moved all the way through central Arkansas, so we're kind of locked in for today. We'll call sunrise on the bus stop forecast over Joplin at 7:24. North wind keeps us cold throughout, even with the sunshine, as the day planner only has us into the high 30s, low 40s during the afternoon. Should be, I mean, as far as it's going to be cold, but it's actually going to be very pretty outside as well. Now, we've got snow that's going to kick in Tuesday afternoon, begins out to the west, takes us through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Minor accumulation numbers, but also, too, not like what we talked about with last week where we were so warm everything melted when it hit the ground. This actually got a little chance to stick around for a day or two.
Yeah, well, it was pretty coming down yesterday.
Yeah, it was, intermittently too. Started, I saw it early in the morning, and by the time the kids got up, it was not snowing. And then it came back, and I said, hey, everybody outside, take a look at it.
Yep, for sure. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, American healthcare workers could begin to receive Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine as early as today. Pfizer began shipping nearly 3 million doses Sunday from its Michigan factory to all 50 states. FDA granted emergency use authorization of the vaccine late Friday as daily U.S. COVID-19 deaths topped 3,000 for the second time last week. COVID-19 vaccines could be coming to Missouri this week. KOAM's Zach Dodge has an update from the Missouri Department of Health on what happens now.
In one action, we will be able to vaccinate almost 2/3, if not more, of our long-term care facility population.
Director of Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, Dr. Randall Williams, briefed reporters on Friday, saying that within 24 hours of FDA approval, the first vaccines will come to the state. He says that first, 51,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine will be sent to the state's largest hospitals, so they can start vaccinating healthcare workers as early as next Thursday.
The large hospitals that really have gotten the brunt of the referrals and all, just incredibly sensitive that we needed to help them as much as we could. Because at the end of the day, they are, even no matter where you live in Missouri, they will end up taking care of you if it comes to that.
It's also expected that 105,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine will be in the state around December 20th, with 70,000 of those being sent to CVS and Walgreens pharmacies to vaccinate residents and staff at long-term care facilities.
While people in long-term care facilities make up 4% of the cases, they make up 43% of the mortality. To be able to minimize the morbidity and mortality would be tremendous for our hospitals.
Dr. Williams explains that the federal government has committed 2 million vaccines to the state by the end of February 2021.
In a year, I think the previous record was 4 years, to produce a vaccine with a new platform make hundreds, in the process of making hundreds of millions of doses available, is just a remarkable achievement.
Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Williams says that more than 300,000 doses will be coming to the state by the end of the year. He expects the vaccine to be rolled out to the general population by April. Oklahoma's distribution plan for the COVID-19 vaccine looks similar to Missouri's, with the first phase including long-term care residents and staff, healthcare workers providing direct inpatient COVID-19 care, public health staff on the front lines, and Oklahoma licensed emergency medical technicians and paramedics. The doses arriving in Oklahoma may differ, however. The first 33,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine are set to arrive in Oklahoma as early as Wednesday. A second shipment of Pfizer's is anticipated for around 38,000 doses, with around 27,000 doses going to the CVS Walgreens long-term care pharmacy program to get into long-term care centers. 60,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine are expected to follow shortly after, arriving around December 22nd.
We need patience from the public. That's why we need them to continue the other precautions to prevent transmission of COVID.
You can find the full info on each phase of Oklahoma's plan on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A fire at an apartment complex in Pittsburgh led to one person jumping from a window. Around 4 a.m. yesterday morning, Pittsburgh Fire and Police Departments responded to a 4-unit apartment complex at 1602 South Walnut Street in Pittsburgh. Heavy flames left victims trapped inside, but all residents were able to escape. Authorities say the person who jumped through the window sustained injuries but received medical treatment and has been released. Another resident is being treated in Springfield for burns. The apartment complex sustained heavy fire damage to one unit and smoke and water damage to the other 3. Kansas State Fire Marshal's office is currently investigating the cause of the fire. Pittsburgh police arrest a suspect in connection to a string of armed robberies. The Pittsburgh Police Department says on Friday night, officers were dispatched to Pete's at 1711 North Broadway in Pittsburgh, where an armed robbery had just taken place. The suspect reportedly threatened the convenience store clerk with a knife before fleeing the area on a bicycle with an undisclosed amount of cash. Detectives quickly developed a suspect and made an arrest shortly after midnight on Saturday. Items located in a search of the suspect's home in Pittsburgh connected him to the armed robbery committed at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas on November 21st, as well as an armed robbery at a snack attack on December 4th. Evidence seized during the search could also be connected to other armed robberies in neighboring cities. The suspect was booked on 3 counts of aggravated robbery related to all 3 robbery incidents. He's currently being held without bond at the Crawford County Jail. Well, who says Christmas photos are just for family members? Over at the newly opened Christmas shop in Pittsburgh, 2 best friends scheduled a fun holiday photo shoot, and they chose the right place to do it since they were able to use the photographer who was already working there, taking Santa photos for visiting 4-staters.
Kind of a best friend glamour shot. JCPenney just really tongue-in-cheek photo shoot. And I thought it looked really neat and fun, so I spoke to them here at the Christmas shop to ask if I could incorporate that into the different shoots that we have available here.
Folks who schedule a Santa photo at the Christmas shop will have their temperatures taken at the door as a coronavirus precaution. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Our own Jesse Irwin shows us the power of tradition.
Well, we all know the importance of family tradition, but for the folks at Adult and Teen Challenge in Neosho, tradition has more power than you might expect. We'll have all of that and more coming up.
Plus, we look back at the life and legacy of legendary spy novelist John Lacera. First, it's 5:37.
It'll be a cold one today. We'll get sunshine. Sunrise at 7:24. But the north breeze is really going to hold us back a little bit. As temperatures are only going to be up into the high 30s, low 40s today. We'll get a little snow that's going to work in tomorrow afternoon and night from west to east. Not a whole lot of accumulation, but what we do see is going to stick around because of our cold temps. Be back with World Watch next.
Topping World Watch, vaccinations have already been underway in Britain for nearly a week. As Elizabeth Palmer reports, the doses come amid a wave of COVID-19 cases across the continent.
This was the first shot in the UK's battle to vaccinate as many people as are willing, starting with an initial 400,000 elderly people and frontline medical staff. First up, 90-year-old Margaret Keenan got an ovation. Public health officials are hoping her example will convince at least 70% of Britons to bare their arms. We asked London commuters this week if they are on side. Are you going to have the vaccine?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
You must be mad not to.
And for all the vaccine's successes, there have been failures too. A couple of teams, one in Australia and one in Europe, had to go back to the drawing board this week after their initial version produced disappointing results. But a global rollout of promising contenders is definitely underway. In Asia, a version made by Chinese Sinovac is out for delivery. This load part of a 1 million-dose shipment arriving in Indonesia, which saw the highest number of COVID deaths ever this week. Russia, too, is sharing its Sputnik vaccine. It arrived in Serbia this week and has been trialed in Brazil, which still has one of the worst infection rates on Earth. This is what the beginning of the end of the pandemic looks like, but it's going to be a long, slow haul. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
According to Johns Hopkins University, there have been more than 72 million coronavirus cases worldwide and an estimated 1.6 million deaths. Music fans in Spain tune in to a concert and science at the same time to help advance testing for the coronavirus. Barcelona Music Hall opened up for a medical study to evaluate same-day coronavirus screening at cultural events. About 500 music-hungry volunteers were screened before a concert with an antigen test. 500 were not and sent home. Concert control group was then sent in to enjoy the concert. Face masks and hand sanitizer were required, but social distancing was not enforced. It's hoped the findings will help determine if there was any contagion inside the concert despite the screening. Archaeologists in Mexico discovered more than 100 human skulls at an Aztec ruin site located beneath central Mexico City. 119 human skulls belonging to men, women, and children were found near a tower of nearly 500 previously discovered skulls. Researchers say the tower dates back to the 15th century. This latest discovery now raises more questions about the Aztec sacrificial rituals. John Lacera, one of the masters of the spy novel, has died. Lacera has been a real spy working for two British espionage services during the 50s and 60s. Many of his bestsellers were adapted for the movies and television. John was 89 years old. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, millions of coronavirus vaccine doses beginning to make their way to people all over the country. Our question to you, are you getting the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as it's available? We'll begin with Glenn Ritchie, who says, I will most likely wait and see how it goes. Not big on vaccines to begin with. Excuse me, with this one being rushed, Glenn's really skeptical. Rob Getz says he's going to wait, not miss one day of work through the whole situation. Going close to 200 homes a month. If I'm requested to wear a mask in their home, I will. I've even requested they put one on if they seemed obvious high risk. Sarah Tullis, I'll still wait and see what the side effects are. If all goes well, I will indeed get one. And Guy says, no, waiting for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, just one shot, and I think I'll get far enough back in the line to see how the first guinea pigs react. Then he says, maybe. As far as our morning Insta poll goes, right now 45% of you say you're getting it as soon as possible. 46 right now. That's the great thing about the Insta poll, updates like that. 22% of you say you plan on waiting, and 32% say nope, not getting it at all. You can take part. Go to komnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Pfizer began shipping nearly 3 million doses Sunday from its Michigan factory to all 50 states. The state of Missouri says more than 50,000 Pfizer vaccines will be sent to the state this week. Officials hope to start vaccinating healthcare workers and long-term care residents and staff as early as Thursday. Oklahoma will follow a similar plan, with the first 33,000 doses arriving as early as Wednesday. Pittsburgh police arrest a suspect in connection to a string of armed robberies. Officers were dispatched to Pete's Friday night where an armed robbery had just taken place. Detectives quickly developed a suspect and made an arrest shortly after midnight on Saturday. Items located in search of the suspect's home in Pittsburgh connected him to the armed robbery committed at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas, as well as at an armed robbery at the Snack Attack. A fire at an apartment complex in Pittsburgh led to one person jumping from a window. Around 4 a.m. yesterday morning, Pittsburgh Fire and Police Departments responded to a 4-unit apartment complex South Walnut Street. Heavy flames left victims trapped inside, but all residents were able to escape. Authorities say the person who jumped through the window sustained injuries but received medical treatment and has been released. Another resident is being treated in Springfield for burns. A Fort Scott man is dead after a crash in Linn County, Kansas Saturday. According to Kansas Highway Patrol, 25-year-old Brett Michael Johnson was driving his car north on Front Street in Prescott when he crossed the road to the left and hit a tree. He died from his injuries. His passenger was taken to Overland Park Memorial Hospital with a suspected serious injury. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Going to be a chilly Monday, even with all the sunshine that we'll get. It's only going to make it up into the high 30s, low 40s, a little north breeze, just 5 to 10 miles per hour. We do have some developments here on the future track by the time we push into Tuesday afternoon. A little snow develops out to the west right there, and we do see it move across the 4 states throughout the evening and nighttime hours. Takes us into Wednesday morning. It's not widespread and not a whole lot of accumulation, but the snow this time going to stick around because our temperature is going to be so cold this week. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app. That time of year that is going to be cold. That's quite where it's going to be right there. Temperatures right now in the teens, and really good as we're going to get is going to be in the 40s. And we can talk KOM News Now Facebook page. I was going to talk about the notes for the North. If you want to take part in our virtual Santa, we're going to be able to do that on komnewsnow.com. It's going to be on your right-hand side of the screen, and all you got to do is click that. You and the kids can sit down and write that letter to Santa, and I understand that the man himself is going to be on the KOM Morning News from the 17th all the way to the 24th, reading those letters from the kiddos. Now, speaking of the KOM News Now Facebook page, our something to talk about this morning is about the COVID-19 vaccine, asking if you're going to get it when it's available to you. Michelle Pacini says, hey, good morning, everyone, and good morning, Mom. We say good morning, Michelle. She says, nope. My mom wants to get it ASAP. Michelle says, I'm going to wait and see if there's any side effects. Jason Smith says, I'll let about 1 million others go. Don't want to be selfish. Rick Norton says, no, I don't want parts of aborted babies injected into me, just saying. Rachel Beckett says, absolutely not. We have a flu shot. It doesn't cure the flu. People still get it, the flu she means, and die each year, even with taking the flu shot. Our Insta poll this morning, it's been fluctuating really back and forth. 48% say getting it ASAP, 20% say plan on waiting, and 32% say not getting it at all. Now, this time of year can remind us of warm memories from our younger years, just not warm outside. And they're often tied to holiday traditions. Here's where we bring in our own Jesse Irwin to share how those routine rituals can be life-saving for those who have ended up down perhaps a different path.
Well, for anyone who battles addiction, this time of year can test where they are on that road to recovery. And as the holiday season makes its annual attempt to put a bow on what's been an incredibly difficult year for so many of us, the power of healthy, familiar traditions can be a North Star for those in need of a guiding light. This includes men and women going through Adult and Teen Challenge, the year-long faith-based drug and alcohol program based in Neosho. While they are only allowed 2 visits from family each month during their 12 in the program, there's an opportunity for a short visit on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And outside of that, the holidays are spent not only working to eliminate their dependency and desire to celebrate with a substance, but to replace it with traditions that are better for everybody in the long run.
Traditions ground us. Many of us can think back to family traditions and how that grounded us and how we felt when we were doing those things. Some of them might seem silly, but there's something that gives us that warm, fuzzy feeling And it's the same thing for these men and the women that come into our program, bringing them back to that, maybe creating new traditions and the hope that they have that they can do that in their future for their families.
Well, some of the different ways that they spend their time is by baking cookies, decorating, playing games, and singing the classic holiday songs that we all know and love. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to learn the journey of one of the gentlemen who is in the program, and including what he remembers about spending the holidays with his family and how he's working to bring those traditions back into his life.
Forward to that. I appreciate it. We're going to come back, update the Skywatch Storm Tracker and our temperatures and wind chills right after this. Chilly one on this Monday morning. Here's where we are actual temperature-wise, below the freezing mark just about everywhere. And as far as our wind chills for the kiddos as they head out the door, we're looking as low as 14 in Independence, 17 in Parsons, and 18 in Mount Vernon and in Cassville. Highs today only making it up into the high 30s, low 40s. And look at that. We got a little snow that's going to creep in tomorrow afternoon and evening. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
A coronavirus vaccine ships out to states nationwide. We'll tell you when the first of the vaccines will go out. Plus the latest after an apartment fire in Pittsburgh injures 2 people and police arrest a suspect connected to a string of armed robberies.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, how a local program is helping people recovering from addiction get through the holidays. And hospitals will begin administering the coronavirus vaccine this week. For our Something to Talk About, we're asking if you plan on getting it when it's available to you. Be sure to chime in for this morning's Instapoll, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, check on your forecast.
It is a frosty campus at the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin, where it's only 22 degrees, 20 in Pittsburgh. And let's roll 24 in Chanute and 23 in Monette. So it's going to be a while before we even get to the 32-degree mark. I want everybody to be apprised that that residual precipitation from yesterday can freeze over, especially on bridges and overpasses. Staying on the dry side right now as a cold front pushes its way almost across the Mississippi River right there. Sunrise at 7:24 on the bus stop forecast. We'll have plenty of sunshine early. A little north breeze, and that's kind of what's going to keep us so cool today, as we'll only make it up into the high 30s/low 40s. This coming off of a last week where we talked about record highs. Now we're struggling to even get to our normal high of 47. We will have some snow that begins to kick in tomorrow afternoon, moving in from the west. Now we're not looking at anything severe, or it shouldn't really slow us down any, but this time the snow gets to hang around, unlike over the weekend, because our temperatures will remain considerably below freezing there for the next several days overnight.
All right. Just be prepared for it. It's cold out there, that's for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a I tell you what, you walk outside right now, you're going to feel it now.
I can't believe you said it. You saw it hit 18 in some spots as the low, but...
No, I saw, no, not in some spots. Yeah, no, that's what I had.
My car read 23 on the way in, and I thought that was cold.
Balmy.
Yeah.
A balmy 23.
Yeah, it was, but I still had frosted windshield, so there we go.
Oh, you're going to have to, if you need to warm up your car, folks, know you're going to have to scrape or defrost or just get it warm.
Dig in the remote start, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Michael.
Well, not everybody has a remote start.
I know, and
like
it's not always safe. And if you're not near your car, you should not turn your car on and walk away.
Okay, hashtag
that's
first world
sure.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of us get out and just scrape. Trust me, it's what we do.
Well, I figured you put on enough long underwear you could just turn it on and sit in there for 5 minutes and let it defrost itself.
I'm a man of the people. I put on my coveralls, my hat, I go scrape windows.
I let it do it for me from my door. All right, everyone hates me now. All right, American healthcare workers could begin to receive Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine as early as today. Pfizer began shipping nearly 3 million doses Sunday from its Michigan factory to all 50 states. FDA granted emergency use authorization of the vaccine late Friday as daily U.S. COVID-19 deaths topped 3,000 for the second time last week. A fire at an apartment complex in Pittsburgh led to one person jumping from a window. Around 4 a.m. yesterday morning, Pittsburgh Fire and Police Departments responded to a 4-unit apartment complex, 1602 South Walnut Street in Pittsburgh. Heavy flames left victims trapped inside, but all residents were able to escape. Authorities say the person who jumped through the window sustained injuries, but received medical treatment and has been released. Another resident is being treated in Springfield for burns. The apartment complex sustained heavy fire damage to one unit and smoke and water damage to the other 3. The Kansas State Fire Marshal's office is currently investigating the cause of the fire. Pittsburgh police arrest a suspect in connection to a string of armed robberies. The Pittsburgh police say on Friday night, officers were dispatched to Pete's at 1711 North Broadway in Pittsburgh, where an armed robbery had just taken place. The suspect reportedly threatened the convenience store clerk with a knife before fleeing the area on a bicycle with an undisclosed amount of cash. Detectives quickly developed a suspect and made an arrest shortly after midnight on Saturday. Items located in the search of the suspect's home in Pittsburgh connected him to the armed robbery committed at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas on November 21st, as well as an armed robbery at the Snack Attack on December 4th. Evidence seized during the search could also be connected to other armed robberies in neighboring cities. The suspect was booked on 3 counts of aggravated robbery related to all 3 robbery incidents. He's currently being held without bond at the Crawford County Jail. A low-cost auto repair shop in Joplin is raising money to buy new car haulers after 2 of their trailers were stolen before Thanksgiving. KOAM's Caitlin Shive has the details.
On November 18th, 2 trailers were stolen from the lot of Higher Power Garage in Joplin.
He said, "I need to show you something," and we walked outside and he showed me where the fence had been cut, and somebody had literally just backed in, or whatever they did, I guess, and cut the locks, and one at a time I pulled off with both of our car haulers.
Their security cameras were also tampered with, meaning none of the theft was recorded. The faith-based nonprofit admits it came as a blow.
We're not really sure what happened there. I mean, we know that there's a reason for everything and that God has got a plan behind it, but it was just most definitely frustrating, confusing, you know, in the midst of it.
Mike Gideon started Higher Power Garage as a way to help out those in need with low-cost car repair. Tabitha Morlock partners with him to run the shop, and the loss of the trailers feels personal.
One of them, it was so sad because we put so much into it. Mike especially put so much into it. I mean, he laid a new flooring, you know, then we painted it, and then we actually installed a floor jack on it so that it would lift up, and a winch, and it was just so much like love and blood put into it just for it to be stolen.
But Tabitha and a volunteer at the shop have been raising money to try and replace at least one of the trailers.
We just need one right now. We can make do with that, and the fundraiser is we're asking for $2,250, $2,250 to actually to fund the trailer, and then the winch that Mike had actually supplied before to go on it.
The efforts are being put forth through a Facebook fundraiser and a volunteer going door to door.
Donations here and there, and from so many people that I didn't even know existed here. I don't know, it's so beautiful because you can see through this one volunteer and a rough situation, like just the whole community coming together, kind of like we had envisioned.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
The fundraiser is about $600 short of their goal, and you can find links to the Facebook fundraiser in this article on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Saturday, runners braved the cold in memory of the lives lost during the 2011 Joplin tornado. Organizers of the Memorial Run placed 161 flags along the route in honor of the 161 lives lost on that fateful day. Annual event is usually held in May, but it was delayed because of the pandemic. Organizers did make some changes to the race. People running in the half marathon did 2 loops of the course, and folks doing the 10K did 1. 5K was the same as usual. Well, Christmas is a little over a week away, and over in Granby, Missouri, people got into the holiday spirit this weekend. The 5th annual Granby Christmas Festival featured dozens of vendors selling crafts and other gift items. Kids could take pictures with Santa and enjoy some snacks. Organizers say they did what they could to try to make this year's festival as safe as possible for those in attendance.
It is absolutely nice to be able to have a break from everything. We still are practicing social distancing. There are things that are different this year. We won't be having some of the horse-drawn carriage sleighs. Some of the things that just brought things, people closer together, we can still be close together, but a lot of our things are going to be outside.
The event began at 9 a.m. and wrapped up Saturday evening. 6:07.
Temperatures down into the 20s right now. It's going to be a while before we even approach the magical 32-degree mark. Cold Monday, but we'll be dry. Then we're going to have the snow begin to kick in from west to east tomorrow afternoon, take us through the evening, and it'll actually stick around this time because we've got a chilly week ahead of us.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News.
Well, the tradition of the holidays is important to everyone, and for the folks at Adult and Teen Challenge, they can make all the difference in the world. We'll have a special story from there coming up.
Plus, why the CEO of BioNTech expects the coronavirus to be eradicated this summer, and how the pandemic's led to a high demand for truck drivers this holiday season. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, Shipageddon. It's the term the National Retail Federation says some are using to describe this holiday season. With so many more people shopping online amid the pandemic, there's added pressure on the transportation industry. All of those truck drivers are responsible for moving goods from warehouses to eventually get to you. Sarah Thompson reports on how one of the nation's largest trucking companies keeps those truckers on the road and their drivers healthy.
I'm forecasting myself, by June of next year I'll hit my 2 million safe miles.
Tom Lair has been crisscrossing the United States in one of these 18-wheelers for 19 years, a proud driver for Schneider. This year has been unlike anything he's ever experienced.
We are seeing ourselves being a little bit more busy. We're picking up loads and delivering them. Arkansas to here, we delivered last night. So we're picking up that pace a little bit.
And to make sure they stay on the road, Schneider has rolled out changes like continuous supplies of PPE and contactless deliveries when drivers arrive at their destinations.
Check your steps.
Lair says he and other drivers feel a responsibility to stay healthy.
Increase the vitamins, eating correctly, water. You'll see a lot of guys out walking around even now, around the trucks just to do anything to stay healthy.
That's a necessity in an industry where the level of expectation rises daily.
There is this instantaneous nature of what we want, and we might be tracking our shipments and things like that. So what customers are asking for is a continued raise of the bar of service.
You need not look farther than what might be called the great toilet paper run of 2020 to understand that demand for service and just how essential this industry is.
I think people now get it more than ever, that they know that a truck brought it, and I think there's a different level of respect now, a needed level of respect that everyone is giving towards their drivers.
Something as simple as people coming on the interstates and actually yielding at that sign and letting the trucks go by, yeah, we're seeing that a lot more often.
Schneider says many people better understand just how essential truck drivers are now, and more people are considering it for their careers. And that's a good thing because there's an increasing demand for drivers. That's it for Money Watch. Here's Michael with our Something to Talk About.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll, millions of coronavirus vaccine doses beginning to make their way to people all over the country. And our question to you is, are you getting the COVID-19 vaccine when it's available to you? We'll kick off our comments with Rachel Becca. We got Rachel. She was talking about the flu shot. Ken Anders said yesterday, so it can't come soon enough. I'll come back to that guy. Hang on. Dennis Morris, he says not a chance he's getting it. John Trebian, though, he says yes. Good morning, America. We say good morning, John. Rocky Cunningham says I'm in. Why not? Warp speed, baby. And Trenton Russell Mayberry goes with the no. Delina Bicknell Whitmire goes no. Not until we know about the side effects. Come back down here to Guy. This guy has a mild case of trypanophobia. It's funny because he's got tattoos. I get it. I have trypanophobia. watch what I say here. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. You do what you got to do. Yeah, trypanophobia is not fun. But I get the joke, guy. It's somebody who has it. Like, I do get the joke and I can laugh. As Instapoll goes, right now, 48% of you say you're getting it ASAP, 18% plan on waiting. But coming in second place right there, pretty close second, only 14% difference. 34% of you say, no, not going to get it. You can always take part. Go to komnewsnow.com/vote. Be back right after this. We call it Notes to the North Pole, and if you log on to komnewsnow.com, look on your right-hand side. We want you and your littles to send Santa that letter, and what we're going to do is we've actually convinced him to come on air in between December 17th and 24th and read those letters from 4 state kids, and so we're really excited. And take advantage of it. Go to komnewsnow.com. Look from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera where we've got a frozen over lens. That is our problem with temperatures hovering in the 20s right now. It's going to be a while before we can get to the freezing mark, and even this afternoon, highs only in the 40s. We are looking at some light snow moving in Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. Now, as the holiday season makes its annual attempt to put a bow on the year, we're reminded that family traditions can give us strength when we need it most. We bring in our own Jesse Irwin to share how those routine rituals can actually be life-saving for those who have ended up down a different path.
Yeah, well, you know, in a year that's been so difficult for so many of us, a holiday tradition can be a north star of hope, and for those battling addiction, an illuminating light to guide them down the road to recovery.
I was living in the darkness for so long that my heart, like they say, it would turn to stone. Like, I didn't care if I even lived or died. I didn't care about my family. I didn't care about myself. And it seemed like the world was like dead around me. Everything was like dead to me.
It's who Robert Carlton says he once was. Yet through the years of pain, anger, and dependence, Robert has held on to what the holiday season used to be.
Whenever I was younger, my family used to get together at my grandmother's house, and we'd all have like a family get together and have a big dinner and like play games.
After his grandmother passed away, Robert watched as the family dinners became less frequent and the world around him changed. After quitting school in 9th grade to try and help his mom raise their family, Robert fell victim to his own routine.
I started using alcohol and cigarettes whenever I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, because I used to drink with my dad and my grandpa and my uncle. And then whenever I was probably a teenager is whenever I started really having a problem with it.
Then just a few months ago, a spot opened up at Adult and Teen Challenge, the year-long faith-based drug and alcohol program in Neosho, Missouri. Zach Norris, the men's director for the program, knows firsthand how difficult the holiday season, and not just 2020, but any year, can be.
You know, something like the holidays, there's so many things that happen in any given year where outside they would lean to whatever they used to lean to cope, and then here they learn to lean on each other and seek counsel.
In this time of year, they're focused on reminding one another of what the holidays can be.
They are learning how to celebrate without the use of a substance. Traditions ground us. Many of us can think back to family traditions and how that grounded us and how we felt when we were doing those things. Some of them might seem silly, but there's something that gives us that warm, fuzzy feeling. And it's the same thing for these men, bringing them back to that. Maybe creating new traditions and the hope that they have that they can do that in their future.
Robert's now in his 4th month with Adult and Teen Challenge. And this holiday season, his grandmother would be proud.
I think there's a few things that they got going on, but I'm not real sure it's going to be a surprise.
Well, you can learn more about Adult and Teen Challenge in the story on our morning show page at komnewsnow.com.
Thanks, Jesse. We'll check back with you in just a little bit, and we'll be right back with more KOM Morning News after the break.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the creator of the Pfizer vaccine lays out a detailed timeline of what the next year could hold for global efforts to stop the coronavirus pandemic. Greg Palcott has more from London.
We have heard some remarkable claims about the new COVID-19 vaccine just approved by the FDA from someone who might know. The comments are from the co-founder and chairman of the German-based firm BioNTech, a partner with the American drug giant Pfizer on the vaccine. His name is Ugur Sahin. In a Zoom interview from Germany, as the FDA gave its okay, he told us there is hope for next year.
And we know that there will be also other vaccines which have shown efficacy. And therefore people, we should be confident that we will be able to control this disease and the pandemic latest end of next summer.
Shaheen says the U.S. rollout should be fast. Vulnerable lives could be protected quickly. By next April, he says, with his and other vaccines possibly being used to inoculate 30% of all Americans, we should start to see a difference. Shaheen says he's pleased with the introduction of the vaccine this past week in the UK, including its super cold handling and despite a few allergic reactions. And despite some shortages, he's confident Pfizer-BioNTech will not only meet production goals of 1.3 billion doses next year, he says they're looking at making much more. The hitch is getting enough people to have the injections. Shaheen assured us the vaccine is safe, but he also warned even with all sides cooperating, it could take well into the next fall to fully eradicate the coronavirus. Nevertheless, he is proud. Take a listen.
You love science, you love immunology, you love to provide benefit to people, but this is of course an extraordinary situation which is unimaginable.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We got a chilly Monday in front of us. Temperatures right now down into the 20s and going to be a while before we even get to 32. We'll top out in the low 40s. Good dose of sunshine. We got developments here that begin Tuesday. Number one, we start off below freezing once again. More importantly, look at what develops during the afternoon. We're going to have some snow that's going to roll in, begin during the afternoon. It'll be light and scattered, but sticking around because of the cold temps. All the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
A coronavirus vaccine ships out to states nationwide. We'll tell you when the first of the vaccines will go out. Plus the latest after an apartment fire in Pittsburgh injures 2 people. And police arrest a suspect connected to a string of armed robberies.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the Electoral College will cast its votes for president today. We'll have the latest. Something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We're asking whether or not you plan on getting the coronavirus vaccine as soon as possible. You can also vote in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
It's a cold one out there. We're looking at temperatures that are in the low 20s for the most part. And there's a look from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera where I have dispatched Mr. Irwin with a hairdryer to go thaw out our lens right now because it's iced over is what it is. 21 degrees, so get ready to scrape the old windshield as well. From the Skywatch Storm Tracker, staying on the dry side, do have some cloud cover. It'll move off to the east, and that's why we'll have plenty of sunshine for today, as our next system won't arrive until tomorrow. It'll move out of the west, so you can tell most of the Midwest remains dry on this Monday. For the bus stop forecast, sunrise 7:24. Just make sure they're bundled up, because it is chilly out, and it will be all day long. Highs only in the high 30s, low 40s. The big development, well, that is coming tomorrow afternoon. After a dry Monday, watch the left-hand side of your screen, we'll see snow begin to develop here. Tuesday morning out to the west. Now, it'll take a little bit to get to us. It won't be on us till the afternoon, but we'll see a mixture of rain and snow. And here's the thing. Unlike what we saw over the weekend, this stuff's going to stick around for a little bit because our temperatures maintain that below freezing mark all the way to the end of next week, or this week.
All right. Yep. Got a lot of cold nights ahead of us.
December is upon us.
Yes. Winter is here.
Officially.
There you go.
Well, actually, that's going to be Monday because that's the 21st.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But meteorological winter's here.
Yes, just not astronomical.
We've been rolling that for a while.
This is the first.
Waiting on the rest of you to catch up with us.
We'll get there. All right. Thanks, Michael. American healthcare workers could begin to receive Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine as early as today. Pfizer began shipping nearly 3 million doses Sunday from its Michigan factory to all 50 states. The FDA granted emergency use authorization of the vaccine late Friday as daily U.S. COVID-19 deaths topped 3,000 for the second time last week. Fire at an apartment complex in Pittsburgh led to one person jumping from a window. Around 4 a.m. yesterday morning, Pittsburgh Fire and Police Department responded to a 4-unit apartment complex at 1602 South Walnut Street in Pittsburgh. Heavy flames left victims trapped inside, but all residents were able to escape. Authorities say the person who jumped through the window sustained injuries, but received medical treatment and has been released. Another resident is being treated in Springfield for burns. The apartment complex sustained heavy fire damage to one unit and smoke and water damage to the other 3. The Kansas State Fire Marshal's office is currently investigating the cause of the fire. A Fort Scott, Kansas man is dead after a crash in Lynn County, Kansas on Saturday. According to Kansas Highway Patrol, 25-year-old Brett Michael Johnson was driving his car north on Front Street in Prescott when he crossed the road to the left and hit a tree. He died from his injuries. His passenger was taken to Overland Park Memorial Hospital with a suspected serious injury. In northern Oklahoma, it's a winter wonderland, but it's not so wonderful for drivers. A winter storm warning brought heavy snow along Interstate 35, causing slick road conditions. Several vehicles found themselves stuck. Well, Pittsburgh police have arrested a suspect in connection to a string of armed robberies. Pittsburgh police say Friday night, officers were dispatched to Pete's at 1711 North Broadway in Pittsburgh, where an armed robbery had just taken place. The suspect reportedly threatened the convenience store clerk with a knife before fleeing the area on a bicycle with an undisclosed amount of cash. Detectives quickly developed a suspect and made an arrest shortly after midnight on Saturday. Items located in search of the suspect's home in Pittsburgh connected him to the armed robbery committed at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas on November 21st. As well as an armed robbery at the snack attack on December 4th. Evidence seized during the search could also be connected to other armed robberies in neighboring cities. The suspect was booked on 3 counts of aggravated robbery related to all 3 robbery incidents. He is currently being held without bond at the Crawford County Jail. Well, runners went dashing through the snow in Neosho for the 38th annual Dogwood Run yesterday. The Dogwood Race normally takes place in the spring, but of course, COVID-19 called for a change of plans. Masks were required upon registration, but not during the event. Organizers staggered start times to reduce the number of people running at once. Over 100 people took part. This is the tradition many runners were happy to see through, even with the changes.
And this individual time trial format is typical in longer cycling races like the Tour de France. So I said, I think we can probably use that to allow people to come out and run a 5K, but still be safe about it.
Runners normally get to take home a dogwood tree for their participation in the race. This year, the 100 dogwoods that were ordered for the April event were donated to the city of Neosho and planted in Morse and Big Spring Park. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Final step in the 2020 election.
The Electoral College casts its ballots today for the presidential election. I'm Deborah Alfarone in Washington with what this means as President Trump continues to fight the election results.
Plus, are you getting the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as it's available to you? We let you weigh in our Something to Talk About, but first, it's 6:37.
Pre-sunrise temperatures hanging in the 20s and going to be a chilly Monday, even when we get to the afternoon hours, as we top out in the 40s. Going to be dry today, then tomorrow afternoon, a little snow going to creep in, take us through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, moving west to east. This time it sticks around because of our cold temps. Be back with Nationwatch next.
Topping Nationwatch this morning. Usually when the Electoral College meets to cast the state's ballots for president, it's merely a formality, but this year is different. President Trump is still refusing to concede, citing widespread voter fraud without evidence. And many in the Republican Party, as well as the president's supporters, are backing him up, even though President-elect Joe Biden won both the Electoral College and the popular vote. Deborah Alfarone is in Washington with reaction and what comes next.
It's been more than a month since the presidential election was called in favor of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Today, members of the Electoral College cast their ballots for president. It's one of the last steps in formalizing the election.
Any doubt who won the presidential election?
Well, shouldn't be after Monday.
But President Trump isn't letting up his fight to try and overturn the election, tweeting without evidence about massive voter fraud, taking aim at swing states, including Georgia.
We've never found systemic fraud, not enough to overturn the election.
The president's fight was dealt a decisive blow when the Supreme Court declined to hear a lawsuit filed by Texas's Attorney General. It was asking to invalidate votes from 4 key battleground states. More than 100 Republicans here at the House, they supported it too.
The reason the Supreme Court is not taking this is not because of a lack of courage. It's for the same reason that every court has thrown this out. It's a lack of evidence.
Over the weekend, Trump supporters rallied around the country, most notably in Washington, D.C. The protests were mostly peaceful, though there were clashes with police and counter-protesters. At this one Saturday, 4 people were hospitalized with stab wounds, and at least 33 people were arrested. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
D.C. police are also investigating potential hate crimes against at least 2 black churches after Black Lives Matter banners were torn down. A new CBS News poll finds 82% of the Trump supporters do not consider Joe Biden's win legitimate. Yet overall, 62% of the nation's voters feel the election is over and settled, and it is time to move on. Hackers broke into computer networks of the Commerce Department and, according to Reuters, the Treasury Department. The hackers are believed to have exploited a vulnerability in widely used server software called SolarWinds. The U.S. government did not identify any nation as being behind the hacks, though the news comes just days after U.S. officials warned that cyber actors linked to Russia's government were using vulnerabilities to target sensitive information. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Morning Talker.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll asking about the COVID-19 vaccine and if you'll take it when it becomes available to you. We'll resume with Chris Osgood Miller. Chris says, yes, most likely I will. And Peter Stevenson says, I will get vaccinated when I can, do my part to help stop the spread and get us back to normal ASAP. Becky Mangarelli, she says, of course, I want to be a part of the solution. And Bradley Tate Woodworth says yes as well. It stops the spread. Buck Thomas, however, says no way. Sean Harris says it's available at my hospital, but I refuse to take it. I think it's too early. Also, not enough studies have been done on the vaccine. I just had COVID, and for the most part, it's like the flu for a couple of days. Now, on the KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, same question. Are you getting the COVID-19 as soon as it's available to you? And 47% say getting it ASAP. 19 plan on waiting, and now we've got 34% say no, not going to get it at all. And the poll, hey, that's open all morning long. You just go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We're going to come back with birthdays and anniversaries. Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Sergeant Jared Ludwig, a member of the United States Army. He served in the 891st Infantry Battalion during the Iraq War. His hometown, Parsons, Kansas. We are proud to salute Jared Ludwig, our 4-state hero.
We begin our birthday list off. Name ring a bell?
Ah,
That's Jared's son.
that's cool.
We are celebrating the Ludwig family with Jared being our 4-state hero this morning. And that young gentleman right there, Jax Ludwig, that's Jared's son. He is now 10 years old. Jax, a very happy birthday to you and Edmund.
And we've got Kelsey Mavis turning 4 years old this year. What a sweetheart there in Moran, Kansas.
Tristan Parrish. Oh, I love it when these roll around right here. So this is pretty cool because this is the Parrish Trips, and they live in Okinawa, Japan. Speaking of people serving our country, and their grandparents live in Crestline, Kansas. So Tristan, Sebastian, and Catherine all turning 5 this year. Happy birthday to the Parrish Trips.
All right. Adeline Williams is 7 strong this year. Happy birthday to Adeline in Girard.
And speaking of 10-year-olds, Kinsley Harris, look at that. That grand champion you see right there? Well, that's her steer, Poe. So Kinsley, number 1, congratulations. And more importantly for today, a happy birthday, kiddo. She is in Hepler.
I wonder if the Harris family has 2 other calves named Edgar and Alan. That'd be really cool. This one's name is Poe. All right. Cameron Lanston is 10 years old in Carthage. Happy birthday, Cameron.
From Nana, JC Geyer. That's who that comes from. With love from Nana, JC, as she turns 11 in Girard. Party on in Girard, by the way.
Blake Brocob turning 12 years old in Girard. Happy birthday.
And Landon Ross, he has a 13th birthday. Bet you he is the world's most excellent big brother right there. Welcome to the teenage time, Mr. Landon, in Girard.
And if Landon's celebrating, that means...
What?
Maverick Herring is celebrating as well, turning 2 this year. And that would be Landon's little brother. 13 and 2.
Ty James got a 16th birthday. Roll the ATV, now get the other driver's license as well, my man. A happy birthday to Ty in Altamont.
Billy Malvin turning 18 years old this year in Reeds, Missouri.
And in the Bird, Emily Sandberg Porter. She is celebrating her 28th. Happy birthday, Emily.
All right, Drew Lovell is turning 28 years old in Lamar.
Hey, happy birthday, Drew. And Matsy, number 42. How about that? A big happy birthday to Matt in the Berg.
Looks like he's having fun there. Happy birthday, Matt. And Jody Bryant turning 46 years old this year in Arma.
Run out to Sheldon, Missouri, and that's where we find Kathy Claflin at a 59th birthday. Happy birthday, Kathy.
Arona Bogner turning 63 years old this year in Parsons, Kansas. Happy birthday to Arona.
We want to wish a marvelous 65th to the gentleman on the left right there. Big thumbs up to Ward McNeely. Happy birthday, Ward in Wyandotte.
Jacob Bowles turning another year wiser in Columbus.
Anniversary time, and we will start with Gregory and Jessica Blades. What a beautiful picture right there. Congratulations to Gregory and Jessica. They're celebrating their 1st anniversary.
Tim and Delane Adam are celebrating their 17th anniversary. Congrats to the Adams in Pittsburgh.
Happy birthday, Tim and Delane. Happy anniversary, Tim and Delane.
Right.
Great people right there. Congratulations. That's awesome. Thomas and Pauline Flores. Get this, Tanya. They're celebrating their 68th anniversary. How awesome is that? Congratulations to Thomas and Pauline in Fredonia.
And I've got Tackberry. Our Nightside 6 and 10 producer there. Award-winning producer, as you can see in the picture. Happy birthday, Jake.
Happy birthday, Jake. All right, Douglas Logudigi, a happy 37th birthday. Douglas, working out at Crawcan. So if you see him out and about today, practice that social distancing, but tell him a happy birthday. Becky Hicks, she's celebrating her 51st birthday. A happy birthday to Becky in Iola. And Christy York, our good friend Christy York with a birthday. Happy birthday to Miss Christy in Galena.
Raymond Joe Hutto celebrating a birthday in Columbus. Hope it's a great one. And Jerry Billy turning 55 years old this year.
Finish it off with Scott Goodian. A happy birthday to Scott in Afton, Oklahoma. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Pfizer began shipping nearly 3 million doses Sunday from its Michigan factory to all 50 states. The state of Missouri says more than 50,000 Pfizer vaccines will be sent to the state this week. Officials hope to start vaccinating healthcare workers and long-term care residents and staff as early as Thursday. Oklahoma will follow a similar plan, with the first 33,000 doses arriving as early as Wednesday. Pittsburgh police have arrested a suspect in connection to a string of armed robberies. Officers were dispatched to Pete's Friday night, where an armed robbery had just taken place. Detectives quickly developed a suspect and made an arrest shortly after midnight on Saturday. Items located in search of the suspect's home in Pittsburgh connected him to the armed robbery committed at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas, as well as an armed robbery at a snack attack. And a fire at an apartment complex in Pittsburgh led to one person jumping from a window. Around 4 a.m. yesterday morning, Pittsburgh Fire and Police Departments responded to a 4-unit apartment complex on South Walnut Street. Heavy flames left victims trapped inside, but all residents were able to escape. Authorities say the person who jumped through the window sustained injuries, but received medical treatment and has been released. Another resident is being treated in Springfield for burns. And a Fort Scott, Kansas man is dead after a crash in Lynn County, Kansas on Saturday. According to Kansas Highway Patrol, 25-year-old Brett Michael Johnson was driving his car north on Front Street in Prescott when he crossed the road to the left and hit a tree. He died from his injuries. His passenger was taken to Overland Park Memorial Hospital with a suspected serious injury. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
It'll be a chilly Monday. We're down into the 20s right now, and even with the sunshine, struggling to get really past the low 40s this afternoon. Then overnight, back below freezing. Cloud cover develops, an indicator of what's headed our way on Tuesday. It'll begin during the afternoon hours as snow develops out to the west. We'll see some rain and snow, kind of a little combo, a little wintry mix there pushing through. And this time, it's going to stick around a little bit, and that's because when we get to the 7-day forecast, you notice our temperature is very chilly all this week, with overnight lows consistently dropping below 32 degrees.
Well, the Koam Toy Box Campaign is underway. We need your help to make it a Merry Christmas for all 4 state children. We're asking our viewers to donate new unwrapped toys, or you can donate money that will be used to buy toys.
Now, those toys go to distribution centers around the 4 states, and then families have a chance to shop for children on their lists, and that way we all work together to make sure every 4-state child has a present on Christmas morning. Now, if you'd like to help, here's a couple of options.
You can drop off your new unwrapped toy at our stations in Joplin at 7th and Rangeline, or at Main Studios south of Pittsburgh on Highway 69. Or you can make a donation with a credit card during our Toy Box Tuesday telethons during our noon, 5, and 6 o'clock newscast. Or you can donate online at KOAMNewsNow.com, on our KOAM News app, anytime.
And thanks to all of you who have already donated. And if you plan on making a future donation, consider this our gratitude in advance, if you will, because it truly has been an amazing 3+ decades that we've been able to do this, but it doesn't happen without your help.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making Christmas morning strata in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Of course, your morning news continues on KOAM, CBS Morning News. That's coming up next.
Or you could switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Jesse joins us.
Yeah, we're going to be looking into a couple different things, including pet scams. There's a rise in those, especially online, so a little bit of details on that. Also, how the power of tradition is actually helping folks at Adult and Teen Challenge in Neosho get through this holiday season. So we've got a great story there, and a lot more going on Fox 14 at 7 o'clock.
All right, my man, look forward to seeing you. Flip on over and join us. Want everybody to have a great, safe Monday. Try to stay warm. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.